Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Overdose and Chill. This is episode 126, and we are live streaming across Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. For anyone watching, please feel free to drop your questions into our guest chat, and we'll make sure to chat and answer them throughout our conversation. I'm Kate. I'm the Marketing Director for Overdose New Zealand, and today we're talking to Nick Brittain, the Business Development Manager from Brittain Wynyard. So today I just thought we'd have a quick chat about your professional journey, a bit about the history around Brittain Wynyard, how it's evolved over the years, and then touch on some of the more recent struggles that brands and retailers are facing around building that sustainable growth and operating in just a pretty volatile market. Thank you so much for making time to chat today, Nick. It's really lovely to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to just having a yarn with you. So to kick things off, I'm really keen to just hear about how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Kate. There'd be a few other people that'd be able to drag me out and do something like this, but credit to you and all you've done for our business over the years. So very happy to be here and talk things through. So in terms of to start with me personally, or with
let's start with you personally and hear a little bit about your journey, and then we can roll into Brittain Wynyard and how you got involved, when it all started.
Sure. So personally, bit of a strange one, really. Look, I started my commercial life as a lawyer. So I worked for Minter Ellison for 3 years in Auckland. After that, I worked as a property analyst for Winton Partners, which is now Winton. And I then sort of did the classic OE and went over to London, not really sure what I wanted to do. I guess I was hoping that I'd be better at something else than I was at law. Look, I had the very good fortune of finding a startup business called Mojave, which was sort of just in its infancy and taking off then. I'm part of the Brittain family that own, that's run Brittain Wynyard for 100 years. We sort of had thought about, coming back into the business and, things that expertise that would be useful to add and sort of grow our business from there. So we sort of had an inkling that something along, digital e-commerce or that kind of thing would be useful. So I saw Mojave's basically remarketing to me in a way that I'd never quite seen before, and thought, oh wow, it's a cool little footwear brand and doing some pretty incredible things. I guess the CEO and founder, Ankur Shah, who's an incredible guy, I guess his email address, had a coffee with him and basically begged to work for him. So for a bit over a year, I worked for them, and that was sort of one of the, I guess, a real sort of turning point in my career, working with those guys and a super young team doing incredible things and growing at an incredible rate, and hopefully tried to learn as much as possible. Guys like Ankur and Mike Keating in particular were just well ahead of their time, and super formative years for me. I guess after a bit over a year there, I sort of got the call to come home and join, I guess, our family business, and came in as the business development manager. And I guess, a big chunk of that is sort of overseeing, I guess, all things e-commerce, digital marketing, and sort of how we bring our brands to life through those new channels. I guess that allowed me, a start in the business basically, and we've I guess grown bit by bit from there.
How has the business evolved over the years? When did Brittain Wynyard first sort of consider getting involved in the e-com space?
So really, the business has the business has probably continually evolved over 100 years. For the last 70, we've focused on bringing sports brands, the world's best sports brands into New Zealand. So at first that was things like Wilson, tennis and golf, Gunnermore cricket, hence light bowls, which probably doesn't, that used to be our major brand.
Amazing.
And so look, over the years, it's been, I guess, a gradual collection of the brands we have and forming super long-term relationships with, I guess, the brands themselves and our wholesale and retail partners. I guess over 70 years, we've built the business to now, have a fantastic portfolio, sort of over 4 sort of major categories, being ASICS performance footwear and sports style. We have our lifestyle department, which is headed by Birkenstock, Timberland, Smart, Cliff Bar, and Moon Nutrition. We have our traditional ball sports department, which is Wilson tennis and golf, and basketball, Gunnermore cricket, MGI karts, Sun Mountain golf, Bridgestone golf, and then we also have our outdoor division, which is Daiwa fishing, Coleman camping, Jarvis Walker fishing, Covia, and a few other brands which work in that sort of outdoor space. So in terms of the evolution to e-com, look, it's probably one of those things where, for the first 80 years, we always, I guess, push back on the notion of having direct consumer business, and we're fairly set on being a wholesaler. That's probably evolved over 20 years, as we've had more pressure from brands to get into direct retail, led by brands like Timberland, who have probably been more fashion forward, and in some ways evolved in their thinking for longer. So we developed a retail business, which I think we made us better distributors overall and much better brand guardians over 20 years. And we now got 15 stores run by Shay Borman, which we're very proud of. Up until, I guess, 5 years ago, the business started again, with pressure from international brands, as this is the right way forward. We have, I guess, been lucky enough to operate the, say, brand.co.nz sites, for many of our major brands. And so 5 years ago, we sort of decided it was time to focus on it and take it seriously. Over the last 5 years, I guess we've grown fairly consistently through those channels. I guess for a distributor, the nice thing has been really, the direct revenue you can take from your sites can very much be reinvested into general brand activity, and so you can sort of make your omni-channel business work through all your channels, rather than essentially cannibalizing the market.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point, and often something that brands do struggle with. Like, how do you maintain that relationship with your strong retail network who you stock, and supporting the brand in your kind of D2C offering? How have you managed that relationship so that you can maintain such strong, such a strong network of retailers?
Look, that's the I guess the major challenge, and in some ways the major opportunity, if you get it right. I mean, the word carefully comes to mind. But look, I mean, wholesale is by far the biggest part and most important, single channel of our business, and that's built over incredibly strong relationships from with our retail partners and through our wholesale sales team. And so we're incredibly fortunate to I guess stand on those shoulders to some degree. Look, what we have to, we're firm believers that the role of a brand.co.nz site and brand marketing as a whole is that it needs to feed brand and set up your brand. Set your brand up in the market, that it is a premium product, that it's not discounted, that you point out I guess the reasons for value and the add value to the product, basically explain, educate, and if you get that right, then everything falls in. Then everything falls into place. I mean, you then allow, I guess, if you focus on brand and keep elevating and sort of set the bar or set the marquee pole high, it then allows all the rest of the channels to fire. So, because your retail partners should beat you on a lot of other USPs that they provide to their customers, and rightly so. I think a good example of that is making sure, as a brand, you really can control as much of the first fold as Google as possible. I think that has a huge impact on how your brand is seen. So, some really basic things are, going hard on Google Shopping to get people like apparel importers and grey channel out of it. So you get you remove that perception of discounted product or whatever it is from it. If you've got a store network, it looks fantastic to be able to draw upon that in your Google results and add that level of credibility, trust, and immediacy of that a store network brings, and that sort of local flavour. And then the good thing is in our category, our best retailers take SEO seriously as well. So we can we can present that first fold with our brand. Hopefully we can get rid of the dodgy listings in Google Shopping with an aggressive spend, and then have our best retailers feature from there. So the customer's got a really sharp impression of the brand. They can see it's a full value product, and they then are directed towards either us or our best retailers.
I really like that. I think that's a fresh way of looking at it and understanding that it's the way that the brand is perceived for a buyer, regardless of whether it's direct from you or coming from one of your retailers, just ensuring that customers have that clear experience. They understand the product, they understand what they're buying into, and then they can make the choice about who they want to shop with. In terms of
just on that, I mean, and I guess with a pure econ hat on, one thing that can be frustrating or challenging to get your head around is, I guess, an econ manager is the conversion rate. And those brand sites attached to I guess larger full market campaigns, they are made to take a lot of traffic and a lot of general product interest. And you've got to take a step back and say that's a good thing. If it's a good result of people coming to your site and then going to your store finder and finding one of your retail partners or going in from there. We sort of have looked at some things where we know loosely for every conversion we get on site, there's another 5 that go to stores for sort of national networks, and that's just within a retail brand. So with I guess a brand that is very well and thoroughly distributed through New Zealand, those numbers should be even higher when you plug in your retail partners to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice kind of holistic view for the business as a whole. We've got a question from the crowd here. What part or division of the business do you think are the most important for every employee to have a better understanding of?
Good question. Look, I think there's probably a couple of things that we use in our business, which I think can, anyone who looks at it can quickly glean sort of what's happening, and it helps put context in what's happening and what we're going to do and trying to do. The first would be a marketing calendar. We put a lot of emphasis on that, and we have terrific, we call them quarterbacks, our marketing managers, and they're terrific. And I'm sort of a big believer in the better the calendar, the better the marketing manager to some degrees, because especially when you start to have larger teams and agencies and all that kind of thing working off it, you really need that centralization. You need a document where people can quickly see what's going on, why, and figure it out. And again, going back with an e-commerce hat on, sort of one of the most basic functions as an e-commerce manager, I think, is you open GA, you open your marketing calendar, you figure out how well you're going, how well you're probably going to go for the next month, and whether you need to do anything else to make your budget. So I think I'm a massive proponent of thorough, well thought out, but simple marketing calendars, which everyone can then feed off.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I might be a little biased being a marketer, but having a clear marketing calendar and a clear plan just means that you're able to pull levers and move in the right direction, and everyone's on the same page. Another question coming in from Tegan Evans. Obviously, your brick and mortar stores are a huge part of the VW business. Now that we are seeing people back shopping in stores after COVID, how does VW make sure that your in-store and online customers are having that consistent brand experience no matter which engagements they have?
It's probably, Tegan can probably answer that better than I can, being our member of our development. Again, it's making sure that, for every campaign and activation is planned thoroughly. Again, it's going to sound like a broken record, but that starts with a marketing calendar that's thought out for probably a whole season, and sometimes, and broadly probably 12 months in advance. It's something that we haven't always got right, but we feel like we're getting right now. We've actually just had a new hire come into, a new team member come in, Tanya, who's joined our ASICS team, who's really sort of tasked with grabbing what we're doing digitally and making sure we're reflecting it in store with our ASICS stores. I think a lot of it comes down to thorough campaign planning, and I think we've gotten really, as a say industry generally, we've gotten really good with our digital planning, and that's quite easy. And I guess probably the challenge is, as people have spent more time and have probably been trained more in digital planning, is to bring the same sort of foresight and I guess disciplines to how they, not only how they dress or lay out their online store, but also their in-store, and it's the same principles. I think it's one of those things where you've got to get into stores, and you've got to understand, I guess, your stores intimately, so how they should be merchandised, dressed, where the opportunity areas are for calling out or featuring new products. On top of that, I guess there's also the fairly extensive loyalty systems and that kind of thing, which we've I guess been on and bringing more on soon. Basics like making sure loyalty points are collected in both areas and can be recalled in both environments. And then there's also things like I guess, the power of things like social and, being able to, I guess, link, hey, shoot in store, link the store to your digital presence, and then, vice versa with the advent of screens becoming more affordable in store. You can then, I guess, reflect all both your community content and also your major campaign content back and through store. So it's seamless and more exciting.
Yeah, amazing. Have you had over the last couple of years, obviously we have been quite focused just with COVID and with lockdowns on people are online. Have you seen a big shift now back to in-store shopping in the business?
Yeah, look, it's definitely recovering. And our stores are making some decent headway. Look, there's still some areas that are still really tough. The Auckland CBD is just is still tough, and a lot of our we've got a few doors there, so there's still those headwinds, but it is improving. But it's look, we coming through and now through the other side of COVID, be it the wholesale or our own retail, it is getting better, and I think a lot of our best retail partners, I guess, probably found ways to excel through COVID despite massive headwinds, and especially say the likes of say Shoe Clinic or and say Shoe Clinic Ponsonby with Mike Lilly, or Frontrunner Colombo, where they managed to, I guess, tap into the community and really be an active part of it, and sort of build that customer base loyalty and sort of deeper relationships with their customers through that time. And so now that they're, I guess, in even better position to go again from there, as some trading aspects become better.
Yeah, interesting. I think you've touched on a really nice point there around truly understanding your customer and what it is your customer is asking for. And I really like that idea of being there for them in the times that they need it. And then it makes it easier when you are, striving for growth and going through a business change. Another question from the crowd here: how do you continually evolve your brand and your business?
Sure. So I guess, look, the focus has very much been on, again, over the last 5 years has been brand activity, and probably led through digital channels. As a distributor, traditionally, marketing was probably seen as something to be minimized and definitely a cost. One thing that has been, one thing that's been really great to do is we sort of did quite a lot of work on, boring stuff like our P&Ls and figured out, exactly what our sort of cost per customer or CPA or ROAS needed to be for the various brands. And so I guess through that, we were probably able to, maybe, it probably depends on who you're talking to business, but sort of maybe transfer our marketing spend from a cost to an investment, because we could show the returns through things like e-commerce. So yeah, I guess from a having that tied up, tying up those financials and sort of knowing what your ranges were, and if you're basically you're at an average, we can keep going. We can be more aggressive. We can do more with the brand. Basically, has allowed us to grow incrementally, but pretty continually. And that's very much a I guess, a monthly view of the P&L. And then I guess, from there, we've basically, I guess, again, 5 years ago, we probably had 8 sort of brand marketing managers here. Today, we've got sort of 25 people that range from everything from brand marketing manager to developer to IT specialist to content creator, designers, etc. So we've been fairly strict with ourselves in terms of, making sure, we're adding people that we know we can show where the extra sales or business impact are coming from. But I guess knowing what those numbers are, when you hit them, you can act. And then in terms of, say, and by acting, I mean, we've sort of gone through a process of, giving the site a go, identifying what specialist skills would be required to take us to the next level, and what the next best hire should be. I guess, proving it financially, hitting the point, adding them in, and then sort of going through that process again. So over say 4 or 5 years, we've probably, we've sort of gone from 8 to 25 through those iterations. We certainly haven't been a business of, hey, next year we want to do this crazy number and we're going to hire a team for it now. That's not how a small family business washes. That's sort of been, I guess, the crux of how we've been able to grow things incrementally. Yeah.
How do you decide what that next specialist or what that next person should be to help you continue to grow?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's I mean, sometimes it's a case of, hey, what would, how sometimes it's a case of what's the biggest fire right now, or who's going to burn out first. But I'd like to say, really, it's, I guess, it's important to remove yourself from the business in some respect, put your consumer hat on, think, hey, this is objectively where we are now. This is what, best in class, be it New Zealand or in Australasia or whatever, looks like. And this is a skill set we need to get to. And it's realistic, and this is how we're going to do it. That's and I mean, the other thing that the other, I guess, influence is, and probably design's a really good example of this, is, we brought on our first designer, Angelo, 4 years ago, and he had a massive transformational effect on the business, and everyone wanted to use him, and everything looked better and everything performed better, and it was great. I was like, okay, well, that worked well. He's been, asked for too many things by too many people. We should probably go again. And so, that's happened sort of 4 times over now. So,
Nice. What do you think, like, looking forward over the next kind of 12, 24 months, where do you think the next opportunities are in either skill set or channel or your marketing approach for brands and retailers to really see success?
It's look, it's a bit of a tough one. Look, I'm a massive believer in design. I think fundamentally, if it looks better, it works better. And the more we become involved in the digital world, the more we are subject to, design and, visuals and content and all that sort of thing. So I can't see design being of smaller importance. And the more we have, I guess, the more customer journeys that we add to our sites and our general digital presence, the more work there is for design to make sure that it's to standard and it's compelling, and we're making the most of every impression that we're lucky to get from a customer. I definitely think design is huge. And then again, SEM, Google. I mean, although maybe they don't quite seem as invincible as they did 6 months ago until the GPT thing. It's still just how people use the world, right? And I don't really see that changing fundamentally over the next few years anyway. And so, look, we put a massive importance in making sure that we're there when people are searching.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of the digital landscape, especially Google and paid search, has gone through a lot of change. I mean, we've gone through a lot of change together around how we approach those channels over the last couple of years. But fundamentally, they just are so important to brand discovery, product research, and that path to conversion. And I agree. I don't see that. I think maybe the networks and the type of distribution across the channels that we're in may change, but I don't see the role of search diminishing anytime soon. Another question.
Yeah.
We've got another question from the crowd here, which is really interesting. So as a wholesaler who moved into D2C, how did you find that your retailers were initially nervous about the perceived competition, and how did you manage those relationships?
Yeah, so that's the best question in the industry. So yeah, look, again, carefully. Fundamentally, what we need to show as a distributor is that through our actions, our brands are growing through our retail through our retail partners. So I mean, again, we've been able to use our, say, e-com and direct revenue to better fund better brand campaigns and activity, with the hope that, I guess, maybe we're taking market share because our brand's front of mind. And if someone goes to, say, the ASIC site and walks into Shoe Clinic or Shoe Science or Front Runner and asks for our brand or our product, that's the best result in our business. Then the other thing is sort of probably the slightly defensive aspect of it, of if we're not present on things like Google, then we sort of leave the door open for people, grey channel merchants and the like to come in and probably disrupt how the brand's perceived overall. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, you're going to have to show that the overall it's a net benefit, because your brand's going to be asked for more, and or the category is going to grow more because of brand activity. And the other side of it being is you don't discount. You've got to make sure you're building value. So you give your retail partners ways to beat you.
Interesting. I think in the current landscape, it does feel a little bit like consumers are responding more and more to discounting tactics, and it can be difficult to establish that point of difference and reason to buy when you're not in the race to the bottom. But as you said, I think maintaining that relationship and really building that brand layer of when you're looking for a shoe, you're looking for ASICs, helps to mitigate and just have that net win for everyone involved. As a distributor, how much material are you localizing, and how closely are you working with the brand's global plans?
Yeah, great question. So look, I mean, first and foremost, it's our job to execute the brand's global plans. And so look, we're very lucky to have the brands that we do, and the massively skilled and incredible marketing teams that are that are part of those international brands. Over the last again, since I've been here over the last 5 years, the plans, the materials, the asset packs have improved, a lot, as they themselves have taken e-com digital marketing suites, I guess, more seriously and been, had a greater focus on it. So we've been really lucky with that. Then, I guess depending on the brand, we then, I guess when we're fairly active with, I guess, either supplementing major international campaigns, be it through use of local athletes, local content, sometimes reshooting some things or retouching it, making it, and we often sort of talk about ways that we can take an international campaign, hammer outdoor, do the high impression stuff there, and then, make sure that those assets, which sometimes are quite internationalized, are biting at a local level through, taking those concepts or the products or whatever, and I guess, being active with them in the local market through social, UGC, events, wholesale door execution, whatever it may be. So we definitely pride ourselves on doing both, and probably doing more than most with local stuff, because I guess we've got a big team, and the guys love getting stuck into what the brand is here, what the opportunities are to really bring the brand to life in New Zealand within the scope of what the brand initiative or campaign should be.
Awesome. How much freedom do the brands give you to really localize their content?
Depends on brand. That depends on brand. Yeah. and it might sometimes depend on I guess whether say a category that's important to New Zealand, say netball or rugby, it is as important as it is in, say, the US or Japan or something like that. But yeah, it varies with brands, and yeah, I guess it's something that we we balance and execute accordingly, sort of thing.
When you're looking for inspiration, what types of brands or websites do you look at?
Sort of try and a bit of everything, really. Definitely a believer that there's no such thing as a new idea, and inspiration can strike from anywhere. Like I think there are we spend a lot of time on US, UK, and Australian sites. I mean, I think some of the e-commerce executions throughout Australasia are just top notch. And I'd say with programs like Shopify and Magento, the ease of those programs allows people to be super creative and innovative and really do some impressive things without having to commit to a development team of 30 or something. So look, we spend a lot of time on we often find the UK e-commerce market's a really strong one, both in terms of and they're probably quite aligned to maybe the Kiwi zeitgeist and how consumers are talked to and all that sort of thing. I mean, often when we say we're scoping or building a new brand site, we're often looking at, say, the UK version or the US version of what best practice might look like right now.
Interesting. I have a question, a little bit of a personal question. We're trans-seasonal at the moment. What is your shoe recommendation for winter this year?
Sorry, which any brand?
Any brand. What are you wearing?
Look, I mean, if we're definitely looking forward to getting some Birkenstock Bostons at some stage.
Yeah.
Looking forward to them dropping soon, and hopefully I can snaggle a pair.
They're hot property. They are very hard to get hands on.
The shoe I can't put down at the moment is the new ASICS Nimbus 25, which is just a dream. I mean, I've been a Nimbus wearer for probably 15 years, and this is just sensational. So yeah, I definitely recommend that to you, Kate, for when you're pounding the streets with the pram next time.
Yeah, or my pushchair.
Yeah. So like that shoe is the Nimbus 25 is just unbelievable.
Nice.
And coming into winter, can't beat a 6-inch boot from
Nice.
Timberland either. So
yeah, perfect timing. And to wrap things up, final question: how is Brittain Wynyard celebrating reaching 100 years?
So is that Jody offering a party at Overdose?
It is from Jody. It is a question from Jody.
There's going to be something, but we're still in the planning stage of that. We probably celebrating ourselves and something that comes super naturally. But no, we're definitely keen to mark the occasion and get with our beat up family, our best, our beloved retail partners, and so many people have had such an impact and contribution to the business, and I guess the family is what we sort of talk about around here. It's a pretty special place. I mean, I'm probably biased, but it's definitely something that's driven through so many good people being involved with over a really long period of time.
Yeah, it's definitely such a pleasure to work with you and the team every day, and that family really comes through, and just your approach to agency and your team and the work that we do together. So it's definitely one to celebrate.
Well, like as I said, we've been very fortunate. Very fortunate for to be involved with some key people in Overdose over that time. So I mean, in terms of I guess shout outs, again, Kate, you've been incredible. Over the last 3 years, I guess we started with Eddie and AK. Building our first site with 8Y, which then came into Overdose, and those guys have just been I sort of feel like the three of us with John O'Sinclair have sort of grown up together in some ways over the last few years. And then we're very lucky to have Chloe and Ivy working on a daily basis. We've got huge trust and love Chloe's approach. Sensible approach can definitely calm me down from time to time, which is, can be more challenging than other people. Also, massive work going on from the likes of Tegan in our development team, and recently been able to work with Martin has been terrific. So we're very grateful for what you guys have brought to our business.
Awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure, and thank you so much for your time today. It's been really fascinating hearing your take on brand versus retail and what's to come. So thank you so much, and all the best. We'll wrap up here.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Much appreciated.
Thank you.